you so much for joining us today. And well, my name is Minyun. I'm the Junior Project Manager at Absolute Internship, and I will be the host for today's webinar. And we were talking about growing into professional from an alumni perspective. Today, I'm joined by Aurelie Chouaf, who is the co-founder of Absolute Internship, and Jacqueline Ojeda, who is an Absolute alumni and who is working nowadays for Google. One of the reasons why we're talking about this topic today is that Absolute Internship has been an international internship provider for the last 11 years, and we were able to expand our business into 11 elite cities in Europe and Asia. But most importantly, we were a big part of the journey of young students in becoming young professionals. So we will be talking today about, experience with internships from a perspective of a recent graduate, which is Jacqueline, and also from Aurelie, who has been the co-founder of this business for 11 years. And of course, she has work experience prior to founding it. And then we want to be covering the topic of key learnings from international internships. Does it actually affect your career or not? And a big question that probably everyone is asking themselves, what is a career and what is actually a profession? So I want to ask Aurelie to introduce herself first.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Mi. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining. Like Mi was saying, my name is Aurelie. I am one of the co-founder of Absolute Internship. I was born and raised in France, and I chose to stay there and to study. So I studied in a business school there, and I was fortunate enough to study in that business school where I was required to do a minimum of 18 months of internships in order for me to graduate. So these were 2 months, 9 months, and 8 months internship in 3 different cities. And so one of the internship I did was in Urest Services, for example, which is a catering company similar to Sodexo, for those who are familiar with Sodexo. And this was in China. I guess I'll speak a bit more about that experience later on. But that's a bit about me. And I as I said, I studied business, and then I worked and interned for about 4 years before co-founding Absolute Internship, to be pretty much in line with the vision that I had for my life and for who I wanted to become.
Okay, thank you, Aurelie. Jacqueline, please introduce yourself as well.
Definitely. Thank you, Mi. And I'm so excited to hear more about your story, Aurelie. So a little bit about me. My name, you could call me Jackie. I was born in Miami, Florida, in the United States, and I have a Cuban background. So my family is Cuban. And that's a picture on the left of, my favorite beach in South Beach in Miami. In 2015, I started, at the University of Florida. So I'm a Gator fan. I don't know if you've heard of them, but if not, we could definitely talk about it. I studied business management and I minored in leadership and retail. And in 2017, I actually had the awesome opportunity of, starting with the Absolute Internship. I wanted an international experience. So I studied abroad in Madrid, and I was a marketing intern that I could speak more on later. And then I also had another internship experience working for Frito-Lay in 2018 after my junior year summer in college, and graduated in 2019 from the University of Florida. After that, that same year I started at Google Cloud. So it's been a really incredible experience, and all of the experiences I had during my time in college led to, being able to work at a really great company that I'm proud to work at. So I can't wait to talk a little bit more about it.
Thank you, Jackie. So we're going to be starting the webinar with the very first question. Do you guys think that an international internship actually impacts your career? How and why? I would like to ask Jackie how your, Madrid internship impacted you.
Yeah, so I think an international internship is really impactful. It was for me, for sure, because I I guess when I first went into it, I didn't realize how much of a big change it would have been. But a lot of companies nowadays want you to be very flexible and you're able to adapt to different, you know, just able to adapt to different, not culture. Culture would be when you study abroad, right? Or do the international internship. But when I was I'm trying to, okay, so let me,
No
the answer
problem.
is yes, they did affect my career because it's very all about adapting to change. And that was what my international internship was all about because, for example, my manager didn't know any English at all. So I spoke Spanish, which is fine, but I wasn't used to speaking Spanish every day on a daily, but even though my family is Cuban, I, usually, growing up in the United States, you usually speak English a lot. So that was a big difference. And there was other, differences that I definitely had to be flexible and adapt, like working style and different things like that. So I definitely learned a lot about myself and how I was able to be flexible in that way.
Do you think employers are actually looking out for this kind of experiences? Is it something that is like, out of the box that you've been working? I mean, you basically flew overseas to, go to Madrid, having an internship there. I think for me, it's like a big leap to do. So maybe employers are really attracted to this kind of experience as well. Or?
Yeah, I didn't just apply to Google. I applied to over like 20 different companies when I was doing my job search. And whenever they would, I would hand them my resume at the beginning of an interview, everyone noticed that and asked questions about that. Even if it wasn't a part of their questioning, because sometimes companies in the interview have specific questions they want to ask you. A lot of my answers did have to do with my international experience.
Okay, that's cool. So Aurelie, you just told us that you had to, fulfill 18 months of internships during your degree. Was it in your mind already to do it like internationally? Why didn't you do it in France? And what do you think would have happened if you would have done it in France instead of like internationally?
So I've actually done both. I've done, I would say 60% in France and 40% in abroad. And abroad was mainly China. So to answer your original question, definitely. I don't think I would be where I am today without all my internship experiences. I did have, some casual jobs, but the internship experiences, they made it possible for me to understand the business environment, a bit like Jackie was saying, and to also be able to adapt to other ways of working, to other cultures. I'm really grateful for all of these internship experiences, definitely. As I said before, and you mentioned me, I had 18 months minimum. I did 19 out of my 4 or 5 years degree. The second internship I did was in France, was in Paris. I come from south of France, so Paris was already, a big move for me. I was very young. I was 19. And I was working for a startup basically in Paris with, we were 11 interns and 3 co-founders. So that was the company. It was a startup. Now they ended up being, more than 1,000 employees. It's an amazing company nowadays. But I was able to learn how to multitask. I would, I was thrown things, to do that I didn't necessarily expect to do. I was interning as a kind of a marketing intern, but I didn't necessarily do just marketing. So I would definitely always recommend anyone to intern, for a small company and startup before starting their career, because at least you have an understanding of what it is. You can learn a lot. So I learned a lot in that first experience, and I realized that I had all the theoretical knowledge, but I didn't necessarily know how to apply it. And so after that first internship, I was able to. And so this led to my third internship out of all those 19 months, which was in 2007 in China. And I would have never been able to be recruited in China for a subcontractor, which was UREST. They were subcontracted by the Beijing Olympics. to basically provide catering services to all the broadcaster companies, all the teams that were broadcasting the Olympics, and the security teams as well, of all the athletes and all of this. And my supervisor told me once that my experience in Paris was something that made him feel comfortable, made him feel that I was, you know, standing out, and I could show him that I was able to multitask, that I was ready to work hard when needed. So this type of internships in small companies where you're thrown lots of different tasks to do, not necessarily what is in your job description, most of the time not really. You are able, you know, to get a job in China without speaking Chinese and without necessarily understanding how the Olympic world is working. So yes, definitely, I can go on and on regarding those experiences, but yes, I would not be where I am today without those precious experiences.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a theme of you know, being flexible and adaptability, because you know, Jacqueline coming from US, even though you speak Spanish, it might not be as, I don't know, as strong as you would thought it to be.
And it's
also,
a different
you know,
Spanish as well, very different.
Yeah, it's very different.
Because we have also, you know, colleagues from Nicaragua, Venezuela, and you know, they always talk about like, what does it mean? So yeah, it's all about adaptability if you're going to you know, an international internship. But I think this is also opening up your mind, because working at such a big corporate like Google, you know, Jackie, you're probably working with so many different nationalities that are
Yeah.
So that's really good. Nice.
That's another great point, that, you know, working internationally, I did work with a lot of different types of people where, like in my university, maybe not everyone was so diverse, but then, you know, working at Google, it is very diverse. Everyone on my team is like so unique. So that did help, you know, I'm in such a different environment, even at Google too. So that international experience did help with that as well.
Yeah, I would agree with what Jackie is saying. I got to start my career, because I know we will speak about career a bit later, but I got to start my career thanks to that last experience I had in China the year when I graduated in 2007, because I decided to move to Sweden from China for personal reason. And I was chosen to become a commercial project manager for it's a large German company called Siemens in the oil and gas department, building core compressors. I had no idea what this was, but they decided to recruit me instead of an older man because of the experience that I had in China. They realized I would be able to adapt easily. I would be able to handle big clients such as government bodies, because some of our clients were Ministry of Energy, you know, in some countries. So I definitely feel that an international experience does sound amazing when recruiting someone. I value, when I recruit team members at Absolute Internship, I value international experience. Everybody in our team speak at least 2-3 different languages, and they have been studying or working overseas. So it's super, super important.
Yes.
Sorry, me.
No problem, no problem. It actually a story comes back to my mind is, of course, if you're being recruited to, you know, work overseas, for instance, China, usually people are going through, you know, a course where they have to get adapted to, you know, the new culture, because usually, you know, if you see like European culture to Chinese culture, there is like a big gap. And of course, if you're not adaptable, I think you're gonna feel miserable at some point. So this is like, you know, that's a key point for employees to see if you are like able to own up this manager position in China or, you know, in another country. So yeah, the next question would be for you guys. What were your expectations to going into this internship experience? I think this is perfectly for Jackie.
Yeah, definitely I could answer. So my expectations, it's kind of interesting because I will say whenever you start a new experience, you have these preconceived notions of what might happen, but I expected to, I knew my role was going to be, I was going to be a marketing intern at a modeling agency called Aurelie in Madrid. I didn't know who my manager was I knew what his name was, but I had never met him. So I didn't know what his personality might be like. So that was, pretty unique. And then my expectations were just to have, this experience that got me out of my comfort zone and hopefully learn a little bit, about that industry. I had never, it was completely new to me. I was very open-minded about what kind of experience I got because I was a general business management major and I was a sophomore in college at the time. So I was pretty open-minded about what could happen, and I thought anything could have been like something valuable for me, and it ended up being that way. It wasn't everything it was very different from what I thought it was going to be, but I learned so much from it anyway. So I would say, like, don't be too worried about, I expect it to be this certain way, because part of the process is just like throwing yourself into a whole new diverse culture and just going from there and seeing how you can make an impact on the business. What my main goal during my internship was, I was the marketing intern, so I had to basically get more models to join the modeling agency. So I would reach out through their social media accounts. I only did this internship for 5 weeks because I did 5 weeks study abroad and 5 weeks doing the Absolute internship. And during that experience, one really cool part about it was there was checkpoints in between each, few weeks. Like at the beginning, we had a checkpoint of like how to prepare. Then in the middle, we had a checkup, and then we met about, I think, 4 times. We even had a social and everything. So that was really great that even, I got to meet other interns in different companies. So we had a little community of Absolute interns in Madrid. So that was kind of nice just because I felt like even though I was the only intern in my specific company, I got to get to know other interns and have a community within that program. So that's one thing that exceeded my expectations on that front.
Thank you so much for the response. The next question is also for you. I think a lot of students are really interested in, like, how do you actually prepare for this kind of international internship? If you're going, flying overseas, what do you need to pack? Do you need to do some research or not?
Yes, definitely. So preparing for the international internship, my university, partnered with Absolute Internship. So we had a session on campus at the University of Florida, preparing us like what to pack, think about climate, how to even, go about just different cultures. And then once I got to, Madrid, we also had that initial meeting before starting the internship. So there was a lot of prep work done there, writing down your goals. I wrote down like, okay, I want to, meet X amount of people within the company, and then try to, just setting goals for you, short-term and long-term goals for you is always like really helpful and has helped me in the past and still helps me now. But the funny part is, even after they told me it was going to be like super hot in the summer in Madrid in like August, when everyone literally leaves the country, they go on vacation basically for the whole month of August. And coming from the business school, I thought I should come with like a ton of suits. And I would say make sure you pack accordingly, because even though they told me, I still brought some of my business clothes that it was way too hot to wear to the office. And people dress way more casually, especially in the industry with it was a modeling class that we were advertising, and I didn't need to come dressed so professionally. So it's kind of funny. But I ended up going shopping when I was in Madrid to buy a few like lighter sundresses, because if not, it was just so hot. And there wasn't always air conditioning everywhere I went, especially in my apartment. So that was a big change for me as well. Coming from the, United States and Miami, it's also very hot, and there's central air conditioning everywhere. So it's very different. So I would just say, like, do your research on the industry that you're about to work in, and also, pack accordingly. But yeah, and I'll also rely on your advisors as well. So we have the Absolute Internship advisors, and we also have, maybe at your university, there's a point of contact that you can ask your questions to.
Yeah. I agree that you definitely should, research your industry beforehand, and maybe also, read through the job description that you have. Regarding culture, it's always important to see, what are the do's, what are the don'ts. And at Absolute, we have been improving this. So every student that is going to go to a certain destination will get, pre-departure handbook to, introduce you to the culture. What is the etiquette? What can you do? We also have a list of foodie places for vegetarian and vegans, and of course non-vegetarian, non-vegans. And yeah, we took this into account because, over the 11 years we've been expanding. So, Madrid culture is not necessarily the same like Barcelona, even though it's the same country, but yeah, that's a good tip for anyone that is trying to migrate to another country, for sure. Thank you, Jackie, for your answer.
Definitely, I agree to that. And, just think back in the days when we were doing our internships, Facebook didn't exist, Instagram didn't exist. So we were going to places we couldn't verify a lot of, internet existed, obviously, but it had been, existing, it was commercial for maybe 6-7 years. And so it was, it's way easier nowadays to be able to prepare for an international experience, because you have thousands or millions of people who have been there, to that place. They can tell you how it is, through social media, through anything. So it shouldn't be too difficult.
Yes. So the next question, it's actually a quite loaded one. It goes to both of you. Can you tell us about your successes, failures that led you to your current position? I don't know who wants to start. You can.
Yes, definitely. I can start, but also I see we have a question here in the chat. If you don't mind, we could answer this. It says, I want to know whether AI is an authentic organization or absolute. Yeah, we could talk about that. Maybe we could, what do you think, Me? We could answer this right at the end? Or do you want to answer?
Yeah, we're going to have a Q&A session, and we're going to address this as well, of course. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. Well, I don't want to leave you hanging, so we'll answer that at the end. And when it comes to, some of the successes and failures I've had that led me, where I am now. So to remind you a little bit, now it's been a little bit over a year since I graduated. I luckily got the opportunity to start, my career about 2 months after graduation, and I moved to a different state, so Austin, Texas. I'm in Austin, and I'm from Miami. So before all of that, some of the successes that led me here and made me even open to moving and doing all these things, some of the successes I would say were definitely one of the best things I could say for students is definitely putting yourself out there, getting involved on your university campus. And, I know this year is very different because most things are virtual. I don't know about, outside of the United States too much, but we have a lot of virtual classrooms going on right now. So I don't want you to feel like you can't take part in different activities. A lot of the university activities are still going on virtually from what I know. I am a little far removed right now, but I would say try to join an organization and learn something new outside of your core classes, because I joined a mentorship program my freshman year of college, and my mentor had an international experience. And my mentor, Cassidy, now she lives in Texas too, which is pretty funny, but she's one of the people who encouraged me the most to have an international experience. And I would say that, making yourself open to these opportunities. And definitely in the business school at the University of Florida, they have a huge, we encourage students to have internships every summer if possible, just because having a diverse, resume is really good. And it's something that recruiters really love to see. I know that whenever I talk to a recruiter and they saw my resume, like, wow, she, did an internship in Madrid, and then, she had an internship with Frito-Lay PepsiCo, which is the salty snack category leader worldwide, literally. So like Lay's, Doritos, Cheetos, I'm sure you know of it. These things really help you. It helped me so much, and that was a success, right? So getting involved, a few failures. I'm definitely not perfect. I applied to many things that I got rejected from, and that's okay, because yes, in the moment, if you apply to a few opportunities that you're really excited about and, they fill that position with someone else, it's sad at the time being, but I actually look at those as like practice for other internships moving, or other, careers or job listings. Because like I said previously, I applied to like, almost 20 other companies, and I didn't get accepted to all of them by any means, right? But luckily, Google was my last interview, and I had a few offers, right? But from the other companies, but they weren't as exciting to me. So this was the one, like, I guess I really cared about. And something, I was talking to me about this yesterday. Basically, I think what happens is when you're really excited about something, I feel like it shines through, and that person can see your value so much more. So my value, I guess, lined up with Google's, and it's okay if, let's say, another company, your values don't really align, and it's probably better for you to find out during the interview rounds. So I learned, some of the mistakes I made in other interviews, what not to do. So some of those failures really led to me learning about myself.
I mean, in the end, it's a question, is a failure actually a failure, because without failures, you don't learn. And like you said, all those 20 rejections that you got led you to Google. Congratulations. Really, it's a huge company, and it's a huge position. What do you think, Aurelie? Do you have anything to add to this, or?
I think, I don't know if this could be considered a failure, what Jackie shared with us, because in the end, maybe it's a failure for all those 20 something companies, they were not able to get you, and now you are shining. Working, at Google now. But it's true, it has happened to me with recruitment. I did not accept some people, and then they ended up with a university, or and they were able to shine. So you have to also see it that way. I think it's really easy to speak about successes that we have. It's harder to speak about failures, but I guess when you have 10, 15 years of experience, it's a bit easier. Failures definitely are leading you to, at least for me, led me to my current position. When you create your own company in an industry that does not really exist, when you're creating something a bit new, or that might be existing, in the United States, but with a different offering that what we decided to do, of course, you have lots of failures. And in almost 12 years, we've had, failures at the beginning, not understanding, maybe how to work with a certain market versus another one, because you have to adapt to your customer. You don't work the same way with a US university and a Mexican university and an Indian university and a Hong Kong one. It's very, very different. So I think we've learned a lot the 2-3 first year to be able to make this perfect offering afterwards. And I think that's what's the most important when you fail at something, is to understand, like what Mi was saying, is it really a failure? It's something that, yes, you fail at, but it doesn't matter, like you've learned something out of it. Otherwise it's something that has been useless for you and for your experience. So I think it was a great example from Jackie, and I think you should take it the way I say, Jackie, that it's probably a failure from those 20 other companies. They miss out on a.
You're so sweet.
The most important
You're
thing.
so sweet. Thank you.
Move through the failures or rejections, and that's the most important thing.
Exactly.
Never stop.
Yeah, never giving up is very important, I think. Because if let's say I applied to the first 4 companies and all of them reject me and I'm feeling horrible about it, right? Imagine if I just oh, I'm not going to apply anymore. And then you don't even know what's possible in the future. So
Exactly. So one of the final questions is, could you define the difference between a career and a profession? And this one goes to Aurelie because she has the most, work experience, and she probably can shine a light on this.
Okay, thank you, Mi. So let's put it that way. I'm sure most of you would probably know that, but a profession is it's like a specific work, or it can be also a series of skills that you have or that you will develop or that you have developed that allow you to perform a work or tasks to make your profession, basically. And throughout your life, you may have different profession, but then a career is something that is completely different. And I think the definition of a career is different from a person to another. So I'm happy to share the way I see what a career is in my own opinion. I would say that a career is who you choose to become as a person. It's what will define you as a person. And if I look at my own example, it's when I realized that I really, really enjoyed in life. What I really enjoyed in life was that I would like to meet lots of different people. I wanted to, like when I say different people, there are people from different backgrounds, cultural background, economic background, religious background, etc. And to learn more, from them, from their culture, from their view of life, to understand and take, some pieces all the time from these different people. And so I was fortunate enough, obviously, as I mentioned before, to work in different countries. So I was able to do that. And year after year, the vision that you have for yourself for a career, where you see yourself, of course, it changes because of the people that you meet, because of the decisions that you are taking, because of external factors. There can be lots of different things that come into the picture. And so I personally decided that I would like to build a career with students, because students are in a stage of their life where they're still learning and they still don't necessarily know what they want to do, and they are in that stage where they're a bit, fragile. They don't really know. They're in between two stages of life. And I decided to do that because I wanted to find ways to share that vision and to provide to them similar experiences that I had, and for them to be able to understand. But then for me, what it allows me is that my career in the international education industry allows me to meet with so many different people from all those different backgrounds that I spoke about before. I meet students, I meet parents, I meet grandparents sometimes. I meet host companies, families of host companies, universities and their staff member. We have lots of personal relationship with universities now. So that's basically what I see a career is. It's a bit like a life plan for me. It's something that is going to be your life. So it's very, very important to make the right decisions early on.
Yeah,
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it definitely does, and I agree, because a profession, I am part of the marketing team, and it's my passion, of course, but I might have the skills to be a marketeer in any industry, but what is actually my career? What do I want to do? And I think one of the values that Absolute has is having an impact on students, giving them a life-changing experience. And that's why I personally also pursued an international career. Like I grew up in Germany, studied in Holland, traveled there, and lived here now in Barcelona. It's because it's eye-opening. I like to have like the different perspectives of different people, and you become open-minded. And I think being open-minded has also a good impact on the world. So yeah, just my comment on this. Jackie, do you have an opinion, or do you have it defined for yourself?
So I'm very early on in my career. This is an interesting thing for me to just think about in general. It's interesting because I guess junior year of college is when I decided, I think I want to go into sales, but I didn't even know what industry. So, and that's okay. I will say for students, like, it's okay not to know exactly what you want to do with your life, especially, like Aurelie said, she had, she changed she went to a different path and started her own company. So that's incredible because, let's say if you're doing something you don't really love right at the beginning, that's totally fine. I can, just quit today, I guess. I wouldn't want to do that because I do like where I am, but you can change, and that's great. I think it's great that we have the possibility to do that. But right now, I do see myself, in sales. I love. I'm glad I ended up in the technology industry just because it's growing so much. And I actually work with schools as well. My main target is higher education. So I work with the eastern coast of the United States and also Canada. So when I speak to even like my Canadian customers, I talk to, the I reach out to research departments in the university to see if they want to use Google Cloud for their storage or their machine learning or different opportunities. There's like so many different products. So it's just interesting working with so many different people. I work with from all the way from Canada all the way down to Miami because it's the entire East Coast, and it's just like so many different types of personalities. And I guess I'm going a little off topic, but I guess having going back to like having an international experience is like, it makes you open-minded like that. You're able to, communicate with, people from Boston are very different from like the people in Toronto and Canada, and same thing with Miami. It's like very different. So I think my experience internationally and just traveling in general has really helped with that.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Okay, final questions before we're gonna start the Q&A. Maybe it's for you, Jackie. What advice would you give young students? Because you're a recent graduate, you also, finished your Madrid internship a year or 2 years ago. So
yeah, the main advice I would give if you're, at any stage, honestly, in your whole life, but to students specifically, if you could find a mentor, like I joined, mentorship organizations within my campus, that really helped me because having someone who's taken similar classes, has similar interests, and can help you on your journey of like, my mentor opened me up to ideas I didn't even think were available. So I didn't even know I could do, different clubs within the business school or outside the business school. And she had already taken all the classes I needed to take. So she had the same mentor, the same major as me. So that was really helpful. I think getting involved in general, just like talking to someone that's a little different from you and opening your mind to, different opportunities. And I think that really makes you stand out compared to your peers when you're looking for a job. So and also, if you ever have any questions directed to me for some reason, I can put my email at the end. We could talk about how you could connect with me on LinkedIn. But I guess main advice is definitely, getting out of your comfort zone and really just putting yourself out there and trying to make connections with people. I know right now might be difficult with virtual, but usually if you ask someone over LinkedIn, like, hey, I want a coffee chat, let's have a conversation. They're not, some people might say no, but I feel like that's not as common as someone, like usually people are pretty open to talking about their experiences and wanting to share. So
I like this idea, and I also want to tap into this mentorship. We have actually, a LinkedIn group for all of our alumni because we also believe in networking. Like you said, you were in a group with 7 different students during your Madrid program that are doing, different internships in different industries. So you can always reconnect. You can always build friendships during your internship experience, and you never know when you're going to be tapping into them. Like, hey, Mark, what are you doing? Do you want to open up a business? And then it's like, okay, why not?
exactly.
So
I actually Yeah, a lot of my friends also went to my university because we were all part of the same program. And then I would see them on campus for the next 2 years, and we became friends outside of, the internship experience, which was really great. And some of them are living in New York City now. Some of them are living in Chicago. So we're all over the United States now, and everyone had their unique experiences. And that was really, I still talk to them today, and we catch up, and it's been really nice.
Oh, so glad to hear that. Okay, thank you guys so much for sharing your insights, your experiences, and everything. This was the last question, and I would now commence the Q&A. So if anyone has a question, please share it through the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself to be talking.
I think we can answer the first question that was there from Yajna. Yajna? I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. I'm sorry. Yajna. I think it's very, very easy to know whether Absolute Internship is an authentic organization, if that's what you mean with AI. It's very easy to find. When it comes to verify, we have amazing, if not the best, reviews on websites such as GoOverseas.com or GoAbroad.com. These are websites that are listing different opportunities to study abroad. It's not necessarily a commercial website, but there you can find all reviews from students. They're all being verified, positive or negative. And I see the second part regarding the bad reviews. We've been awarded 3 years in a row with Go Overseas and actually Go Abroad for some cities. We've been awarded the best program and the best community. So I'm not sure. I might know which company you may be referring to, Yajna, but I don't know if you're still in the chat. If you're not, I think we can just get back to you and let you know. But we can also easily connect you, any one of you, if you have any questions for a specific city, industry, we can connect you. We have thousands of alumni that will be happy, like also Jackie, to just speak. She mentioned she can connect on LinkedIn. That's the thing, when you reach a certain success, like she has done, Jackie, at her own level, she has been able to get into this amazing company that is Google. I think you want to help also others to do that. So that's to answer. I will let you answer the rest, me.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yashna, I will send you an email with an in-depth question, with an in-depth reply to your question. Thank you very much. Nia asked, what do you offer to people who would like to participate but are unable to afford the prices? So I can say something and then Aurelie can take over. Like I said before, Absolute Internship has been, a provider for the past 11 years. And now we, found the success to actually give back. So we are having scholarship initiatives throughout the years, which will be public on our website. There are different criteria, of course, that you need to meet, and but we also offer resources outside of our company. For instance, in the US, there's so many scholarships that you can be applying for instance, like the Gilman scholarship that we're trying to, get in touch with. And we frequently post blog posts regarding this because we understand that this kind of internship experience is vital for your future career, and we don't want anyone to miss out on this. So, keep an eye out on our blog. We're going to be posting another blog post regarding this. And in general, you can also check out our scholarship landing page on our website. Malia asked, what are the requirements to be able to do an international internship with Absolute Internship? Aurelie, do you want to take this over?
Yes, I can answer, Amalia. Thank you for the question. So there are a couple of requirements, and it also depends on the industry that you're choosing, because we have about 18 to 20 different industries that are very different one to the other. So the basic requirement would be language skills. So everybody must speak English, because we guarantee an English speaking internship unless you have skills in the local language, and then you are able to intern in Chinese, in Spanish, in Portuguese, depending on where you're going. We have a minimum requirement when it comes to the GPA, and when it comes to, which I would not remember now, I'm sorry, because I'm not doing this anymore and this is really bad, but I would say if I convert it to like an international or American one, it would be a 3.0 minimum out of 4. I think it's out of 4. And so everybody sends in an application, and so we have to review this application. You have to send your CV to fill out, the application form, and then we will have a pre-selection call with you, where we'll be able to assess what are your goals and if you really are looking forward to this experience, and if you have the experience, and if you want to join. And then if you're successful, you will be invited to a round of interviews with us, and this is a 25 to 45 minutes interview, depending on yourself and the person interviewing you. And then once you are accepted into the program, if you are accepted, then you can decide to join or not. I would say out of all the applications that we are receiving, we are welcoming maybe a 22% of those students every year, more or less.
Okay, thank you, Aurelie, for answering this question. Does anyone else have a question?
I would say some advice for the application. I prepared for my interview because, the whole interview was in Spanish, because I had to prove that I can do the job completely in Spanish. But as Aurelie said, you don't have to do an internship in a different language. You could do one in English, depending on where you're going. So I definitely prepared a lot before the interview, just by, coming up with the Spanish words and everything to make sure I said everything correctly. But that's just some advice there.
Yeah, you told me that you actually prepared for your internship by speaking Spanish to your family, no?
Oh yeah, I did. I was a little bit out of practice because in university, most of my friends just speak English. So mostly spoke to my grandma on the phone and my mom and dad and talked to them in Spanish. So
thank you so much for joining in. Next month, we're going to be talking about digital nomads. So we have an entrepreneur who has been traveling around the world doing different internships, and now we're going to be listening to him as well, how the current situation has affected him. So if you're interested in this, if you're interested in digital nomads, please sign up, and then I'll see you in a month.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining, and thank you, Me, for hosting us. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a nice afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.